of a preacher man.
Ain't no lot to see.
All those plans I made for myself, I got nobody else to lean on. Got so far with my head in the clouds. Now it's time to...
Research efforts to discover new antibiotics have stalled. In the post-World War II period following Alexander Fleming's breakthrough discovery of penicillin, new antibiotics were discovered and developed at a breathtaking pace. The golden age of antibiotic discovery peaked in the 1950s, and during this period, the pharmaceutical industry was the engine of innovation. But then, discoveries started dropping drastically from the 1980s onward, with no new antibiotics being produced in nearly 3 decades. Government, industry, and medical communities all agree that in the face of this mounting crisis, efforts to revive and improve the likelihood of successful drug discovery is essential. Enter Acurx Pharmaceuticals. They are a biopharmaceutical company focused on developing new antibiotics for difficult-to-treat infections such as MRSA, VRE, and DRSP. We face new threats every day, big and small. Acurx Pharma is on the front lines of health using technology to help us treat tomorrow's infections today. Acurx Pharmaceuticals.
Oh, I see what you did there. I get it.
Oh, yeah.
Because my good buddy John Rood's on. Is that what's going on? That's it. 110 million TV homes strong every weeknight and weekends, thanks to BizTV and YTA, U2 America. Nationwide, coast to coast on Biz Talk Radio Network and iHeartRadio. Of course, American Forces Network, AFN, 175 countries and all the ships at sea. We are television, radio. We're also the interweb. Go to bigbizshow.com. We're also Sully Speaks Money on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I think all together we're at 135,000 followers. Great to have you along today. Good to see you. Day Trader Quattro.
The Qua.
How's your Twitter stuff going?
Good. I've been good. I've been a good boy. Be honest with you. Thank
Sounds
you.
like a puppy.
Thank you so much.
So here's my question. So what is your new Twitter handle?
At the Louis, L-O-U-I-S, Costa.
Are you just going? He's on the L's, by the way.
I am.
Are you going through all the Costas in the universe, and now you're down to L's?
1,000%.
And you got to skip over the M's.
It'll be at the Matthew Costa next. At the Nathan Costa. Q is gonna be tough.
So what happens were you, as a national sportscaster and a local media personality,
right.
were you ribbing sports figures, or was it all figures?
No, I wasn't.
Didn't Shaquille O'Neal yell at you one time on Twitter?
Yes, he did.
That was the last time.
Yeah. There was somebody who, in all seriousness, posted video of them like kicking their dog type of thing.
Yeah.
And I just really said, hey, if you could die today, that would be awesome.
Oh, that.
And then it was like, oh, we don't, blah, 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 suspended. I'm like.
Are you ever unsuspended?
No.
Do you have like 7 active accounts that are on suspension?
Yeah.
And if one of them pops up, do you go back to that one?
Oh, I've got to check all the time. You just never know. Just never know.
Follow Mike at Simmer Down Now.
It's like a full day. It's just.
This is why he never had a computer. Now it's like an Excel spreadsheet. It's 11:30. Got to check and see if Mike Costa's available.
It's like the bridge of Star Trek. I'm just looking at everything.
All right.
You know.
Hey, my good friend John Rood, who is the CEO of Momentus, is on the air with us. MNTS is their stock symbol. Their stock symbol MNTS. Space transportation and infrastructure services is the business that they're in. You heard me say it correctly. I get so many emails every time he's on the air with us. You can go to momentus.space, by the way, and find out everything they're doing. But I have him here for you. John Rood, how are you, bud? Good to see you.
Feeling good. It's great to be with you guys.
Hey, so let me go back to the first time we interviewed you a few months ago, when you had conducted your first launch of your Vigoride spacecraft. Just a few months prior to that, that was back in May of last year. Bring us forward now to where you are and what's been happening lately, because your press releases are pretty impressive as of late.
Well, thank you. What we did it in our first launch in May is we started to test out and demonstrate the capabilities of our orbital service vehicle, which delivers other satellites in space and can host payloads, which isn't the whole satellite, to provide mission support to them. So we deployed 8 satellites on that first mission, and then we built and shipped our next vehicle called Vigoride 5, which was launched on January 3rd. And here's the launch of it that you're showing right now. That spacecraft is still in orbit right now. We've been going through a disciplined commissioning of it. It deployed its solar arrays,
Wow.
which come out like the animation behind me.
Sure.
They're generating power normally. The thermal conditions on the spacecraft are operating normally. We're in regular communications with her. And here, just in the last week, we did something new where we are using the water-based propellant that we have on board, and we're controlling the attitude or the pointing of the spacecraft, where its axis of motion is, and things of that nature. And so our reaction control system and attitude control system have now been commissioned, and we're powering and operating the vehicle on water as our propellant now.
Hey,
we're getting real ready. We're starting to do the commissioning of our microwave electrothermal thruster, which will then propel the vehicle to higher altitudes and change its inclination or which orbit it is around the Earth. And we're going to deploy a satellite, and then we're also going to host a solar array from Caltech to demonstrate the ability to collect solar energy in space and beam it wirelessly both in space and then to Earth.
Do you guys remember, and I know you're old enough, do you remember when Microsoft was this new thing that came out about personal computing?
Oh, yeah.
Right? What happened to Microsoft and Apple, right? I think you guys are in the same place in a different space there. No pun intended, John. I really think you are. Because if you think in terms of what you're doing, it's a head scratcher like, they do what? And now, some of the patented technology that you guys are doing, look at, and you're the CEO, but I mean, I can see OEM possibilities for other companies because you're developing things here that you need to share at some point, and that's going to be profitable for the company. But talk about that a little bit.
We have gotten interest from other companies in buying some of the component technologies, such as this microwave electrothermal thruster capability. We haven't consummated any deals, but we've begun to entertain those discussions because it's essentially we're using a satellite to deliver other satellites and to provide service. And so these kinds of components are of interest. And we have a service model as shown on this video where we would go to space. We do go to space on a ride share where we're one of the satellites on a SpaceX rocket in this case.
Yeah.
That's what we flew on in last May, in January. We're getting ready this April. We've already integrated our vehicle onto the side of a Falcon 9 rocket that SpaceX will launch in early April from Vandenberg Space Force Base. And that'll have yet another mission where, as you mentioned, some of the components, one big thing that we're doing is a solar array. Currently, right now, what we have is rigid, and you see in this animation behind my shoulder, it unhinges to create the solar array. But we've developed one internally that we'll demonstrate on the next vehicle where you unfurl it, almost looks like a roll of Reynolds wrap aluminum. We call it a tape spring solar array because it has a little concave shape, like the tape measure you buy at Home Depot or somewhere like that, that provides its rigidity, and then we can unfurl that. So we'll do a demonstration on our next mission of one that'll go out 33 feet and allow us to vary the amount of power we collect and mostly do this at roughly 50% of the cost per watt that the current solar arrays that are leading the market can do. So that's going to be another vertical for us.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable, I mean, it's really such an impressive company, and it's unbelievable that we're talking about business in space and infrastructure in space, but we're here now, aren't we, John?
We are. We're at that leading edge of that new space economy that's developing. And, currently Space Foundation estimates the space economy at about $469 billion per annum. Now, other estimates, like one from Morgan Stanley, says by 2040, this will be a $1 trillion market. Yeah. And Bank of America and other estimators have similar estimates. So I think we're at that leading edge where you're starting to see these new applications and new ways of operating in space. And it's not just done for space, it's done to change our life on Earth, whether it's electricity generation or Internet of Things or communications. All these things that are ubiquitous today are going to increasingly be done from space.
John, always a pleasure to have you on the air with us. I can't wait to get you in San Diego, to get you in studio with us. Great stuff. Love that guy. John Rood, CEO, Momentus.
It is just, it's up here.
I know, it really is.
Literally,
Space transportation,
and figuratively.
infrastructure services. They are publicly traded MNTS. John Rood is the Rocket Man.
He is.
Program. More Biz coming up. See you in a minute.